y'all. Hey, Erica with TimetoShrink. I am back for another vertical sleeve gastrectomy series video. Today we're going to talk about the dreaded regain. I have a bunch of things that kind of explain why regain happens, and when we learn how regain happens, then we can work on how to correct it. And I'm gonna have a whole nother video on correcting it. Quick story on me, if you're new to me, my name is Erica. I have lost over 101 pounds doing keto, and I also had vertical sleeve gastrectomy. I went from 270 to today I am sitting at 168 pounds. I had surgery in Mexico with Dr. Hidalgo. I'll link that up here if you'd like to see my story about that. And so today we are just going to jump right into talking about regain, the dreaded regain, y'all. But if we know about it, then we can work on how to fix it. And I'm gonna have another video all about that, okay? So number one, these are not necessarily in exact order, but number one kind of is. I think the major reason, the number one reason that regain happens, and I am a nurse, I have worked for years in hospitals where I had weight loss surgery patients initially and years down the road with complications, and I feel like while I am not giving you medical advice and I advise that you talk to your doctor, I need to put that disclaimer in here. I am a medical professional. I am not acting like a medical professional in these videos. These are for information only. Okay, so number one, we did not work on the inside. Our surgery, whether you had VSG, whether you had RNY, whether you had DS, it is a tool. Not the tool to lose weight and keep it off. It is a tool. We need to have a toolbox full. We need to have an arsenal full. The number one reason is that we did not work on changing from the inside out. Why did we get that? Why did we get to the point where we needed this surgery? It wasn't because we were eating super healthy and our lives were all figured out and we had no problems and this stuff was just wonderful, but we thought, hey, I'd love to have a major surgery just for fun. No, we were at somewhere where we were in a major need for some reason. And almost always we got to that because of some kind of trauma in our past, some kind of food addiction issue, some kind of mental health issue, all of the above, none of the above, but something. Generally some food addiction that we are all dealing with, generally some kind of emotional baggage that we have pushed deep down, and when it starts to surface, we push it down with food. We eat when we're happy, we eat when we're sad, we eat when we're anxious, we eat when we're emotional. That's very typical of a very overweight person. Not just someone with a couple extra pounds, but a very overweight, obese, morbidly obese, sick person. I know for me, I push down emotions. I eat emotions. I eat when I'm happy. I eat when I'm sad. I eat when I'm anxious. Even when I feel sick, I'm like, ooh, I feel like I need food. I think food's gonna help me feel better, even when it's physical sickness. And we have to deal with what's inside. We have to deal with where is that coming from? What are we pushing down? What traumas do we have? What unhealthy habits do we have? What are we saying to our body? What is our internal dialogue? Do we have a lot of negative self-talk? Do you love yourself? Do you love yourself even a little bit? If I asked you to list the top 10 things that you love, would you even be on that list? Before my surgery, I was not on that list. I wasn't anywhere near the top 100 things I loved, y'all. I did not like myself. I hated myself. I did not find myself to be worthy. I did not think I mattered. I did not think that I even deserved to be here at times. I had some major mental health issues, some major depression. I had a trauma in my past that caused me, long story short, to end up on disability, and my emotional being was kind of a wreck, y'all. Kind of a wreck. But I've been working hard on the internal. I've been working so hard on that, y'all, and I'm so happy to say that I have turned that around. Do I still suffer depression and anxiety? Yeah, I do, y'all. But do I love myself now? I do. And do I emotionally eat? Yeah, sometimes. But I don't do it like I used to, and I'm working hard on changing my lifestyle. Okay, number 2 was lifestyle. You didn't change your lifestyle. After surgery, did you start eating completely? Obviously, the first few weeks you have to eat differently. But once you were back to regular foods, were you eating what you ate before? Were you eating just smaller quantities, but still of junk? Still of stuff that wasn't super healthy? Still a lot of processed things? Or were you choosing some super, super healthy nutritive foods? What was the nutritional value of your foods that you've been eating? What is it, y'all? Are you tracking it? Have you ever tracked it? Do you know what you're putting in your body? Have you changed your lifestyle? Are you out and about and more active? I'm not talking about exercise. I'm just talking about being more active. What are you eating? What is your lifestyle? Number 3, basically I kind of just talked about it there, but what are your habits as far as eating? What are your eating habits? Have they changed? Or have they not really changed and you just were able to lose because you were forced to eat smaller quantities? We have to change our habits, all of them, but especially our habits about how we treat ourselves and what we put into our bodies. We've got to change those, y'all. Number 5, vitamins. Did you stop taking your vitamins? Did you ever really take your vitamins consistently? Or if you're not getting a extremely balanced, perfect nutritional diet, and let's face it, at least in the first 6 months or so, you're probably not, because you can only eat so much, even if you try and make it perfect. Vitamins are so important, y'all, and not taking our vitamins and getting good nutrition can lead to malnutrition. And oftentimes it doesn't show up in the first couple years. Oftentimes it shows up years down the road. I've had patients come in years down the road after surgery with major body illnesses all throughout their body that were based on malnutrition because they were not feeding their body enough nutrients. They were not taking their vitamins, and it can just lead down the road to so many problems. Please take your vitamins, and please take good quality vitamins. Don't cheap out on vitamins. Take good quality vitamins, take them consistently. Number 6, you never counted your macros. You don't really know if you're eating too much. You don't even know if you're eating too little. Are you eating enough? Are you getting enough protein? How do you know? Do you know, or do you just think, well, I'm eating protein first and then my veggies, and so it must be working, it must be adding up? Getting in enough protein is vital, and we need to know what our macros should be. I've talked to so many people that really have no clue how many calories they're supposed to be eating, how much fat they're supposed to be getting in, how much protein their body actually needs, how to recalculate it as they lose weight. It's important, y'all. Even if you don't want to be a tracker, even if you don't want to write it down every single day, I feel like it's vital to know at first. And every so many pounds, every 10, 20 pounds that you lose, you need to recalculate it. You need to know what your body needs, and you need to know how to do that. You don't have to track every day for the rest of your life. You don't. But you do in the very beginning, and you do every time you make changes for a little bit to make sure you know what you're getting. And when you don't know, then regain can easily creep in. You can easily have too much fat and too much carbs and too many calories without even realizing it. They can add up so fast. Number 7, and this is a biggie. This probably should have been up at the beginning. This is a biggie. One of the main ways people gain weight is they stop just eating meals, sectioned out meals at certain times. They graze all day. A little bit here, a little bit here, a little bit here, a little bit off this kid's plate, a little bit here, snacking, 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 snacking. For numerous reasons, that is not okay. One, those calories are going to creep up. The fat and the carbs, it's going to creep up. You're going to have a much higher calorie intake per day than you have a clue that you are having, unless you are tracking every single one of those bites. Every bite counts, y'all. And number 2, Our bodies are set up in such a way that we need to eat and then we need to have a fasting period. You don't need to call it fasting, but that's what it literally is. A period where we put nothing in but water or plain tea or coffee. We need to give our body time to process what it ate and to do its job to get it all dispersed and processed. If we eat every half an hour, our body is never having time to stop and process. During that processing time, what happens when we eat is our blood sugar goes up a little bit. If you're eating keto, it only goes up a very little bit. But when we feed ourselves a good, nutritious diet, it's going to go up some. When your blood sugar goes up some, your insulin level goes up some. When your insulin levels are up, your fat cells are locked. Insulin acts like a key to your fat cells, and it locks those babies down. When we eat spaced out, after our body is done processing, insulin can go back down and that key is unlocked and the fat can come out of our fat cells. But if we're constantly eating, constantly grazing, all we can do is the channel to go stuff the fat cells is wide open. The channel to let stuff out, it's locked down, y'all. It's locked the freak down. So grazing all day not only will end up with too many calories, it also ends up with our body not being able to process things correctly, our body not being able to let our insulin levels come down and let that stored fat come out and be used and burned as fuel and flushed out of our bodies. It's really important not to graze, y'all. I have so many people that have come and said, how in the world could anybody gain weight? We can eat so little. Y'all, even in the beginning, even at like month 3, if you eat little bits non-stop, it can still add the freak up, especially if those are slider foods. Okay, so be so careful about that, y'all. I feel like the major 2 things for people are grazing, eating constantly throughout the day, letting those slider foods in, and then not working internally. Thinking that this tool is the tool. If we have surgery, everything will be just fine. No, y'all. We have to work on changing our internal dialogue. We have to learn to love ourselves. We have to learn to speak kindly to ourselves. We have to delve into the hard emotional stuff and work on it. We have to work on making solid, good habits. Okay, I hope that was helpful. I really felt led to talk about that because I get so many questions about that. I see that all over the forums out there. So I do want to talk about things that seem to be really high on people's list. So the next video is gonna be, I've regained, Erica. What do I do now? How do I correct it? I'll be back with you next week to talk about that. Until then, I hope y'all have a super blessed week.